Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horrornightoasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news. With me, as always, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you alive?
I don't know.
Oh boy, we have been body slammed and choke slammed and tombstone pile drivered and just beaten and bruised tonight for tonight's special review. It has been one. Every now and then, just everything falls apart, and this is one of those shows. And man, I don't know how it is, but we're here. We managed to pull through by the skin of our teeth, and hopefully this show turns out pretty well. Again, I'm looking forward to it because it's just one of those where I feel it's just going to be one of those where we just shit over everything, and usually those are the fun ones. But we were going to do a special, as I mentioned, during the Homeless Joe review. I didn't want to do two Boneyards back to back. And I mentioned it this past week when we reviewed whatever we reviewed Monday night. And like, I wanted to do something special on this next show because it's coincided with SummerSlam. And, for some of you listening, I still am a wrestling fan, even though I don't watch it as much these days anymore. It's just here and there if something big's on, or but I'm not too into all the details of it anymore. I'll watch some of the bigger events and stuff, but but I'm still I still enjoy the product of wrestling occasionally, even though it's just not been all that grand here lately. But I'm still interested in it. So I wanted to do something because it is SummerSlam weekend, and I didn't want to really hold off on this one until Mania next year. And SummerSlam is the second biggest event, of the summer, after Mania, and then you have, of course, the Rumble, but that's a little far off as well. But given the fact that it just felt right to do this, I found this random title, as I always do, and of course there's nothing on it. Ian. We looked and we looked and we searched.
Absolutely.
And of course the only thing that I know about on the film is one of the actresses, Monique Dupree, who is, again, at the time of this film's from 2007. And again, around this time, she was doing a lot of low-budget stuff. She was also in the indie wrestling circuit, doing a bunch of stuff as well. So it makes sense that she would be in this since it's wrestling related. And again, I knew her from like other stuff like Bachelor Party and The Bungalow of the Damned and a bunch of other lower-budget indie films as well. But again, I wanted to review this one for a special Boneyard, and again, I would show you the poster, but again, that's one of the issues we're having. Apparently DVD players won't work, and our means to showcase posters isn't working either, so you're just going to have to look at the image on the the title and to get everything that you want out of this. But it's the Maim Event from 2007, and as I said, this one, there's no information on it. Everything basically died along with it in 2007, because the website is no longer in existence. Again, I guess there's a commentary on here, but it's basically from the Rock and Roll Cowboy. So that's probably just going to be a comedy track of him just like shit talking the movie, I'm assuming. And the only way you could have got the DVD is through the Amazon made on demand. So again, it's one of those where you had to buy it and then they produce it. And so it's one of those where probably copies are very limited, because they were made on demand. So one person could have bought it, 5 people could have got it, 20 could have got it. I don't know. But that's the woes of made on demand. There could be a couple hundred out there, could be less. So that's the history that we know of it so far. Besides everything else, again, like the director's called J.L. Bones, which I'm assuming that's a pseudonym. And again, like I said, Monique Dupree is the only real name on here that I know of, which I mentioned. But Corn on the Macabre is the production studio, and or Shuck You Productions, Twisted Toy Box. Yeah, and again, the website was shuckyou.com. That domain name doesn't exist anymore. So it's another anomaly where they went out and they made a little comedy horror wrestling movie and got it out there on Amazon for a while before all that went down and defunct. And again, this is the only copy I've ever seen, of course. And again, maybe one or two shows up in upcoming years when I'm searching eBay or something else. But at the moment, it's just an anomaly in the Boneyard, and that's what we're here to review. And so, stupid dogs. So let's get into it with the Maim Event. And so, the Maim Event, as I mentioned, it's a wrestling horror comedy, and there's sort of two subplots that eventually converge into one, and we have Charlie and Scott. And Charlie and Scott, they decide to go see a small promotion wrestling event in this building. And Charlie has the idea of, that little wrestling promotion got me interested in starting my own promotion. And so this soon gets the attention of Manny Wilderdank, who is the current promoter for Grapple South Wrestling, which is the promotion. And of course, the promotion itself, Grapple South, is it's supposed to be campy in the way that they're doing this promotion, where it's just the worst grappling and botches and just everything. Basically what you see on Botchamania, those little, those indie promotions like the Zandig used to be a part of, ZZW or some stuff like that. It's like very, very low key, sort of familiar in that stuff. Or it's just the lowest of the low. Where like they can't do a single move right. Everything's going wrong. But it's supposed to be played up like that. And so the Rock and Roll Cowboy is one of the characters, and he overhears Charlie and Scott wanting to start a promotion, which get Manny interested in, like, we can't have that happening. And so Manny comes up with a plan to basically stop Charlie before he begins. And instead of just killing him like any normal person would just to stop something, Manny decides to take his many competitors. We have Rock and Roll Cowboy, Fish and Chips, which is a tag team. One's a fisherman, one's a cop. One's in the hippie. Another one's just like in a ski mask. And then we have like Tiff Taff, which is played by Monique Dupree. And then a bunch of other, just, again, superfluous characters in this wrestling promotion. And they're basically going after all the people that Charlie is conducting business with. So you have the insurance agent, the promoter, the ring guy who he buys a ring off of, and a bunch of other people that Charlie is doing business with, basically, to start his upstart promotion. And they start going after him in various ways, again, that probably sounded good, but it's a low-budget indie production, so it doesn't really come off that way. And it's one of those where it's just, after a while, there's no way around it. It started to get boring. And it's like, the comedy is not the greatest. The beginning of it I was into, because it was stupid. But then the stupid started to wear its toll. And it's just like it was just being stupid for stupid's sake.
Yeah.
And like I'm okay with that sometimes if you do stuff with it. But when you just start to be lazy and just do it for no reason other than to be stupid, you lose me. Like the first half, I would say I was into it because I liked the stupid wrestling that they were doing at the beginning. Um, I liked some of they had some okay practical effects. Um, and then I like some of the stupidness, like the very beginning scene. Um, oh, also we have the announcers throughout the whole movie. So you have your color commentators giving a play-by-play as the film progresses, and they come in every so often. Um, so you have the one scene at the beginning where Manny is one of the wrestlers is wanting to quit basically, and apparently he's dating the one female wrestler of the promotion. Apparently they were dating after it comes in towards the very end of the movie. You're like, oh, so they were a couple, okay. But she Char like she wants to join the promotion, and like maybe we can make you join the promotion if you do something for me, basically. And Manny is like a womanizer, sort of just your average low budget promoter, just being a creep, thinking about tits, wanting to see tits, basically your average Vince McMahon at the time. Um,
Yeah.
Making someone bark like a dog for his own amusement, having all kinds of weird things happening with his daughter that's like no father should do that to his own daughter in a wrestling promotion, but you did. But nonetheless, just trying to get his jollies off. It's Vince McMahon for you. Um, but he's he decides to basically kill the one guy, um, because the girl, like, if you do some kinks for me, I'll do some kinks for you, and like the kink she wants to do is piss on his head, like, oh, just a little sprinkle. Let me a little sprinkle on your. And like, man,
So
if this is one of your kinks, I can't wait to do one of mine. And then Manny comes in there with a bowling ball and just bashes his head in on a toilet. And then like, yeah, just a bunch of stupid stuff like that where like, okay, I can get with it for a while, but then it just starts to get stupid, and like it's it's not in the fun way. It's just some of the antics just go on, like some of the conversations with the rock and roll cowboy where he comes along and just starts talking it up with random people, and it goes on and on where it just meanders too much. Um,
yeah.
and just like his mannerisms is like I was okay with it at the beginning, but then now it's starting to get a little monotonous. And like there's some nice, like I like some of the lines at the beginning with Manny, like you shouldn't have got so pissed, jackass. When he got pissed on. Um, let's see, it's like you can draw a pretty face on the box, on it and spank it with your pecker for all I care. It's like there's some funny quips like that with Manny, but then they kind of just like lost it after a while, like no more quips, and then like basically, as I said, like it's like various wrestlers, in their gimmicks, going out and just killing off the people involved with getting Charlie's promotion running. So, like I said, the insurance guy, the promoter, which is a blind guy in a wheelchair, and like he's playing basketball in one of the scenes. It's just like ridiculous things like that, where it's like it's supposed to come off as funny, I guess, in their mind, but it just kind of they overplayed the joke. Like you had him when they first introduced him, and like he's running into a shopping cart in like an old building, and like, okay, we get it, he's blind, he can't see, and like he's backing up into a shopping cart. Um, but yeah, just after a while, it just kind of just gets a little, I wouldn't say on my nerves, but it's just like boring and just like not as interesting as it first started out. Um, I mean, I was honestly looking more forward to the announcers coming in, giving their play-by-play than anything, basically, and I kind of wished a little bit later on that they were just because they break the fourth wall, of course, where like the announcers are there and they just like there's a certain scene happening, and then it just pans over from that scene, and then you have your announcers doing the play-by-play, and they're talking about, oh my God, we promised you the greatest movie ever with the Maim Event, and I think we're surely delivering it now. And it's Chris and Ricky T is the commentators, and Chris is like, again, like your JR, and then of course like Ricky T is just again like the Jerry the King Lawler in a way, if we're going back to that era. So like again, he's like very hyped, your hype man, and Chris is, and he's just like throwing it out there. But I'll let you talk. There's a few more things on my mind I want to discuss, but I'll let you give your thoughts and then we'll go back and forth.
That was I mean, I think at one point I did start nodding off a little bit. And I was like, I'm going to stand up and walk around for a second so I don't fall asleep, because it just got very monotonous. It was like nothing was going on, like nearly the entire movie. Like, other than, I mean, this movie was trying too hard to be something, and I didn't think it needed that. Like, yeah, the humor is there, but it's like not really. The beginning, oh man, just talking about it making me yawn. The beginning was hopeful. Like, I was like, okay, I was hoping that they would keep this this energy up, and of just like the silliness, and then it's just like they didn't know how to keep it going.
Yeah, and especially with the characters like the Boogie King, who's just like this guy, just long hair and a beard, and he just dances all the time, and like it's just like just lingers too much on those characters for like no reason, and like they needed to do something like, I don't know, they just needed to do more with what they were given. I kind of expected a different type of scenario than just going after a guy wanting to start his own promotion. I thought this was going to be, in a way, I thought it'd been like an early precursor to Dark Match, which came out like this year or I think it was earlier this year, that has Chris Jericho, and like the wrestlers come to the event, and like each match is like to the death, and they all do like, it was on Shudder for a while.
Yeah.
It's on Shudder. But like they do all these things because it's like a cult, and like Chris Jericho like used to be in the one promotion, and then he started his own to do something. So I thought it'd be like wrestler versus wrestler to do something similar to that.
This was.
Or just like outlandish things.
Yeah. And for a movie,
just like wrestlers doing like death moves, or like violent acts in the ring. Whereas it was just people going around in a building or in an adult bookshop. The one guy sticks his dick through a glory hole, and Fish and Chips comes along and hooks it and pulls it off. But you don't see that. I don't think you saw it. I think it was implied. But he comes out running, and is like he's bleeding from his crotch, and he's like, help me. And then Chips comes along and just bashes him over the head with the nightstick. And just like it needed something a little more, like they had some of the scenes, the setups to these scenes were okay. Like Tiff Taff in the strip club going after because they go after the talent that Charlie gets involved with, that he wants to hire for the show, because he's not able to get it through some of the other local promotions around in the area. And so he decides to go get his own at like workout at gyms and strip clubs. And then they start going after killing the competition, killing everyone involved. So basically it's just them killing anyone involved with Charlie, besides killing Charlie. And they even bring that up, like, why don't you just kill Charlie? Like, you don't get the point. basically.
Yeah, no, and for a movie about wrestling, I was hoping there would be more wrestling. Like
Yeah,
that's like honestly, I think that's what was the most disappointing thing about this movie is that they like didn't do anything about it. And what was that? That one that we reviewed, part of that Appalachia um, anthology, where like the guy was like kidnapped and forced to fight.
yeah,
I was kind of hoping it was something like that too, like where they were like these people were kidnapped and forced to wrestle like to the death or something. I don't know. I was hoping for something with the wrestling aspect because I really enjoyed that aspect in the beginning. Was like, yeah, they're shitty wrestlers, and I was like, okay, maybe. And I was thinking, I was like after the first guy died, I was thinking, okay, maybe they're going to start filming the wrestlers dying, and like they don't know they're going to die, like, or at least one party doesn't know they're going to die, and and sell that or something. Like I was, just expecting something more than just walking around like that's most of what this movie was just walking and talking to people. And then every once in a while, somebody died partially off camera. And wash, rinse, and repeat.
yeah. And again, it's very, I wouldn't say cheesy and I wouldn't say campy, but it's just like it's a fine mix of both. Where it's just like it's
Yeah.
just it's it's just low budget. I mean, it's like no way around it. I mean, yeah, it's low budget, but it's just like it's low budget. It's like especially the one with the skateboard and he's trying to chop the guy's head off and he can't even ride a skateboard. And then of course it's just like again a lot of talk, like all this stuff that should be fun, but it just comes off as I mean I would it's just I wouldn't I mean honestly I guess it's lazy. But even though they're having fun, it seems like that because it's a stupid idea and it's honestly a stupid movie. But like it needed to have more zaniness to it, and it just didn't have any of that. It's like it's the start of a good match, and like you have like these two people that like oh man this person and this person coming together in a match that should be awesome, and then you get together and it's just it doesn't flow right. They don't have the good chemistry that you kind of expect. There's a lot of flubs and goofs and botches, and it just has like left a bad taste. Kind of maybe because it has like a dusty finish or something, where it's just like it doesn't have the right the right person doesn't go over who you think should. And it's just like one of those where it's like it has these ingredients that are there, but just like the chemistry's off.
Yeah. No, like
And
that's.
it's like no, go ahead, Ian.
That's I was just agreeing with you. Like I just felt like they were. I mean, some of them were okay actors and stuff, but I just felt like their interactions with each other that they just like was so stiff and like yeah, I get it that the like especially with the like strip club scene. I was like that right there. I was like, I'm not really like it's supposed to be sexy. I get that. But I didn't really feel that because it was like no real like chemistry or it was just like I don't know. It was just like I thought a lot of the line deliveries in the movie was like really stiff, and I understand low budget, not professional actors, but I was at a
Yeah, it's
point
just
where
like
I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
of
honestly,
nothing
it is
else.
one of those where you like even like it's not the same vibe as like Homeless Joe, because Homeless Joe, we were riffing on it. When we watched this one, we were just kind of silent, where we were just like, because it's not one
Yeah.
of those. It's not fun in what should be a fun movie. Like you want to have something stupid, sort of a so bad it's good situation, because you don't know what to expect, and like you want the comedy to hit, it doesn't hit. You want some of the horror to aspects to work, and like it's kind of there, but it's not like fun. Um,
Yeah.
it's just stupid, and it's not like a spoof stupid, where it's intentional. Like it's a straight, I mean, as straightforward as one can get for a horror comedy. But it's just like they played it straight, and it kind of felt off with what they were hoping to achieve to what they actually achieved.
Yeah.
It just like I said, it's just like they didn't have good chemistry. Everything mixed together, it just fell apart, and it's just like wasn't entertaining. After a while, it got boring. It's just like it wasn't fun after the initial setup. And like I was into it. I was when they first showed the wrestling match, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be stupid, because the way they were wrestling and he couldn't do any of the moves. And like I mentioned to you, like I've seen this before. I've been to these type
Yeah.
of shows, where it's just some random dude who lives in a trailer park down the road in the same town coming together. Like, my name's Cousin Elwood, stuff like that, where it's just like some random, country guy that lives in town, just like, not professional wrestlers, but just, you know, whoever can come together for this small local promotion to do like a little indie wrestling event. Um, and it just felt that way, where it's just like they're not professionals by any means, but like they're trying their hardest to make a fun match, aka movie, and you're just watching it, nothing really exciting, but it's entertainment for like 80 minutes, even though it's not a good match. But hey, whatever. It's like they're trying, but they're putting on a show for the audience, and that's what this felt like. They're just like putting on a show. They didn't know what they wanted to do as the film progressed, but they're putting on a show.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't really fault them for a lot of stuff because, I get it. Low budget and whatnot, but
I mean,
I
honestly,
guess.
some of the blood effects were okay. Like, I'll give them props for that. Like, for what they were going for. The one guy at the end that got gutted, and where that random Grim Reaper came out of nowhere. It's just like, again, it wasn't like it just left it open as well. Like, you have to go to the website to continue this, because like there's an opening and an ending with this guy on a cell phone. Like 300 pages. It's happening. Like what's happening? Like they give you this build up for something more, and it's just like, oh, too bad. You can't figure that out anymore because of a defunct website. But it's a part of this movie now.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad that, at least they did what they wanted to do, whether or not it was good. But,
Yeah, I mean, there's
yeah.
not too many. Well, there's not too many good like wrestling related horror movies. Like a couple that come to mind that like surprised me was like the Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre, obviously because it's zombies, but it's like I had fun with that one. Wrestle Massacre, I wasn't the biggest fan of, even though that's just the guy that's going around doing wrestling moves. But he needed to do it. I felt that one like needed to do like more wrestling related stuff instead of like pile drivers and stuff like that. It needed to be more crazy when it came to the kills. I think there's a Wrestle Massacre 2 coming out as well here, if it's not already.
Yeah.
But like they needed to like something to give it a little bit of a stand out. This one is just like, oh, how dare he start a promotion? We're gonna go kill all those involved. It needed more something else besides that. It's just like, and then going back to the commentators, I kind of wished, and I think I've seen this. I might have seen this in like some kind of weird thing, like a news anchor before in like some comedy, where like he's like giving like they cut to him. Maybe it's a Kentucky Fried Movie or something like that, in one of those type of spoof movies, where like they're doing all this news coverage on something, and just like a random guy comes up like, "Are you even with the news?" Or just something like that. Whereas like, I'm just thinking it's just like two crazy guys that's interested in this thing that's happening, and they're just talking to the audience and not even involved with anything like wrestling promoting wise. So it's just like, I kind of wish that they did that in a way where just like, but I don't know, they played it too straight, even though it's just kind of a little nod to, if you're, you get it if you're a wrestling fan, but it's just like, again, like I liked it. Like they could have done it a little bit more, like they're really over the top in the delivery. And again, I like that aspect of it. But again, it's just like, after a while, it's just like, it just kind of got boring. And even the kills, I mean, some of the kills were okay. The gun up the hoo-ha, blowing the stripper's vag. That was funny. Even though it just like came and went. I don't know, some of the setups were okay, but it just felt like they could have done, again, a little more in that general area. As you said, like they could have incorporated more wrestling stuff in there instead of just like, oh, I have a gun, this person's going to get hit by a car. Like fish and chips, like at least that made sense with their characters, using the fishing rod to hook the guy's penis through the glory hole, and then Chip's beating him over the head with the nightstick. That made sense to their characters, but just like a bunch of other stuff, like the one with the mask, and he's putting the guy's head in the copying machine. Like, okay. Yeah. And then like he falls in love with the desk clerk, and they're looking at baby clothes out of nowhere. Just like seemed some things, just like the comedy just like felt off. Like you should like, oh, look at this, that's funny. And it just like kind of fell through the cracks. Like, nah, not really. Like it just didn't work. It didn't mesh.
Yeah. No, I completely and utterly agree with that. Like, I don't know. I was expecting to have some sort of fun, regardless if it was just like riffing on the movie, laughing at how like bad it was. But this just got
compliance, basically. You're just like,
yeah, that's what I was like. I was just like, man, I wish there was more. I wanted more. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, again, for a film, it's, again, nothing out there. I mean, it's one of those where I feel that it's not really worth tracking down. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad to have it, as I would. We're probably going to be the only ones to review this for a while, which we always talk about on these Boneyard shows. But again, it's like nothing really to go out of your way for. There's far more entertaining ones. Even Monster Brawl, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of that, at least it involved monsters fighting. I mean, they could have done more with it, of course, but that one's just like, it's fine. This one is just like, it's just numb after a while. Like you get into it and you're like, okay, I can get into this, and then it just slowly loses your interest, and then it doesn't move the needle any further, and you're just like, all right, this has turned into a too long of a match, and I'm bored. And this is when the fans would take over and start doing random chants in the wave. That's how this movie felt like, where they lost interest. Let's entertain ourselves. And sadly, there was like, even trying to entertain ourselves like we usually do, like we couldn't even find that. the strength to riff on it, because it was just like there was nothing to riff on.
Yeah, and that's just the worst. I think about any movie is that they it was just like nothing. There was nothing to grab onto. It just
Well, I
felt
mean, there
like
was things to grab onto, Ian. There were some tits, but
that. I mean, that was about it.
yeah.
And it's been a while since we just had like some kind of random, pointless nudity. I think we were talking about that one day. It was
Yeah, I
like
think we were.
I was like, you know what? I was like, it was some movie that I was watching that had nudity in it. I was like, holy shit! I just realized we've watched a lot of horror movies lately that had no nudity in it. And I was like, that's surprising because at one point that's all we saw. Oh, not complaining about it. Just like it's just like, oh, right. Oh man.
Yeah, but again, with like everything that we had to go through to get this to work tonight, like I said, the DVD player, I had to go through hell to get that to work. And then, of course, our program that we use for the poster and everything, that decided not to work on us. And so it's just like, ugh, great. And the movie just like didn't make things any better. And like I said, it was like it's not awful, it's not terrible. It's not like the worst thing we watched, but it's just not entertaining enough to be enjoyed. It's just one of those where it's just like I said, it's a numb watch. It's not fun to riff on. There's hardly anything to riff on about. I think there's only one more quote I wrote down. If that guy can do I don't even know what I wrote. If that guy can do one trick on that skateboard, I'll teabag a pit bull.
Yeah, I remember. That was dumb.
Yeah. So there's a lot of one-liners and quips, but it after a while, it's just few and far between. Just like what are you dick-sucking clowns doing this time? Just like, and the ending was just kind of tossed out. I expected more with the ending besides what the hell that was.
Yeah.
After everything this guy's been through, all the people's dying around him, that's the end. Okay. It just felt like, again, it just a dusty finish. Like that's not right. That ending shouldn't have happened that way. But whatever. But yeah, it's one of those where, again, I don't know how many copies out there of this film exist. There's no information available out there, and I guess as you said, this is probably the reason why there's nothing out there on it when we were talking about it. Like, yeah, I probably understand why. Like, now I know why there's no information on film. But yeah, it's just one of those where it's just like, even as a wrestling fan, it still wasn't enjoyable in the means. Again, I've seen some bad ones, I've seen some good ones, but I wasn't really bored with those. I watched like Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. That was fine. Just a bunch of other ones like that were just like, Enter Zombie King with Luchadors versus Zombies. Papa Wrestling is a fun little indie short. If you haven't seen that, look that up. I think it might be on YouTube. Papa Wrestling. That movie's fucking hilarious. And it's just like, it's like a short. It's like under 20 minutes or so, where a Mexican wrestler, he's a father, and his child gets picked on, and I think it's his child. And yeah, Papa Wrestling. And so the bullies are like making fun of him, and then he goes after the bullies, and he's killing these little kids in the most spectacular ways. And one of them, there's one scene in particular that's great. I don't want to give it away, but look that up and tell me you won't have a fucking enjoyable experience watching Papa Wrestling. El Gigante is another one where it's like a wrestler versus this another giant luchador in a wrestling ring. So there's all kinds of fun little shorts and features out there that just do fun things. This one is just, again, not it. Like WrestleManiac with Rey Mysterio Sr., where they go to this town and like he's a zombie demon wrestler, and like he's ripping people's faces off and wearing them as his own. It's like fun stuff like that, where it's just like it's just, you need something fun and dumb predicament or story related plot device, and this one just doesn't have it.
Yeah.
It's just dull and nothing. It's just like him going to this one person, like, can we do this? And they're a scumbag. They're like, yeah, we can do this. I'll put you on this. I'll do this. I'll put you on the football station. Like, I don't think football fans and wrestling fans are the same. Oh, no, I'll put you on the soaps then, because he's trying to buy ad time. And just like a bunch of nonsense like that, where like the conversations are trying to be funny, and it's just the comedy's not there. It's just like a wet fart in the joke department, basically. And it's just like, no, this isn't it. Like the blind guy playing basketball and just all of that stuff. And I don't know. It's just like they didn't know what to do after a while, and it shows. And they had a good idea. They just didn't they didn't know how to execute it properly.
Yeah. I mean, like like I said, I just wish they did more wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
But
Ian, I don't think there's really too much meat on the bone for this one.
No, there's really not.
No, I'm glad we got it out there, because now the film exists. It's in the ether of the Boneyard.
Breathe some life into it.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some more. We'll get some more messages from those involved, like we usually do. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our special Boneyard SummerSlam special. It didn't really do much for us, but it's there. It was entertaining. It was there for 80 minutes, so it did something. I don't know what, but I guess, like, it started off strong by pissing on us, but that's about it.
It's like, oh my lord.
Like, they needed more stuff like that. Like, just like the one chick getting into water sports, and then like later on the one chick was like sticking the gun up a vag. Like, I don't know, it needed something in between. I needed to see the hook into the penis in the glory hole. They needed to show that. They describe on the back here: big boobs, foul comedy, nasty gore, and you didn't get to see a dick ripped off by a fishing hook. Like, what kind of point is that? You see the stupid skateboard guy go trying to skate on trying to skate in general to decapitate someone. You can't even do that right. I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke and he just left it in, or supposed to be his character is dumb. Because that's like, again, all the people in the Grapple South Wrestling, they're just idiots, basically. And I don't know. There needed to be some kind of something to keep you entertained. And it just didn't, like you said, there was nothing there to really hold on to. And I don't know. This is one of those where it just felt like it was like a no contest. Like no one won. It's a count out. Ugh.
Yeah.
But Ian, as always, it's been great talking with you, my friend. I know it's been a busy week on both our ends. And it's going to get even busier here on my part. But nonetheless, it's great to take an hour out of the day and talk with my buddy about these stupid horror movies. But I don't know what the rest of the month entails, but that'll be something that we will have to discuss offline. So I appreciate everyone for listening to our special SummerSlam Boneyard review of the Maim Event. As always, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time on Horror Night Oasis.